All right, I got 20 minutes until my DoorDash gets here. Let's talk about balance. A little while ago, I put out this poll into my YouTube section. I asked everybody to go through and rate the balance changes. This isn't actually like what I think. This is just random stuff that I've clicked on. We have almost 3,500 responses, which is a pretty good number. Obviously, it's not the entire community, but it's enough that we can kind of get a general like average consensus of what the community thinks. Now, a lot of this wasn't even from my subscribers because I know that some people are going to say like, oh, well, your subscribers are going to be biased and just agree with what you say. I'm going to keep any opinion that I have out of this video. I'm not going to give my opinion, whether I agree, disagree. I'm just going to go over and talk about what the community rated these. First up, we got Shaggy. The vast majority of people think that he's a 4, which means like he's very good, definitely better than a lot of the characters in the game, but not yet to the point of being OP. Next, we have Batman. The majority of people think that he is overpowered, with the next most people thinking that he is very good. I'm assuming that a lot of the votes on this were for 1v1s because in 2v2s, Batman isn't necessarily overpowered, but in 1v1s, he definitely is. That's not an opinion. Batman is overpowered in 1v1s. So I'm assuming that a lot of this vote was from 1v1 players. I think that a lot of these were from the 2v2 players because he's still very good in 2v2s, but he's not like overpowered in 2v2s. Next up, we have Taz, and this is rough, bro. Taz gets the short end of the stick in almost every update that comes out. He did receive some buffs recently that I think helped to bring him up, but I think that the community consensus is just that Taz is garbage. Like, they could make Taz so overpowered in the next patch, and I still think it would take a couple weeks before people actually accept that Taz is viable, because everybody's got this idea in their heads that Taz is just like awful. I know I said I was gonna do an opinion, but I feel like this is a pretty like not volatile opinion. Taz actually isn't garbage right now. Like, he's definitely not a 1. I would honestly put him like a 3. I think that he's all right now. I can see 2 though, for sure. So this makes a lot of sense that the majority of people think 2. Next up, we have Garnet. It's pretty much what I expected. Garnet just hasn't been strong yet in the game. We've yet to see any meta where Garnet is even close to the top. She's not like a hard character to play. She's not really a complicated character, but she's just very easy to beat. I feel like every time I go up against a Garnet, I just kind of like, I queue up against a Garnet and I'm like, all right, this wouldn't be quick, you know? This makes a lot of sense. I don't know what the 1.2% of people that voted a 5 were thinking. That might just be trolls. Next up, we got Jake. Everybody seems to think he's a 4. The next most is a 3, and then the next most is overpowered. Nobody thinks he's bad. We got less than 1% of people that think he's bad. Jake actually, this is not my opinion on the balance. I'm not gonna talk about the balance. I already stated that. However, I think that people underrate the difficulty of Jake. I'm not saying he's like super hard to play by any means. I feel like a lot of people seem to think that he's just like the easiest character in the game or something, when in reality, if you compare Jake to someone like Shaggy, there's definitely a skill gap there. He definitely fits pretty well into this spot. It's pretty common knowledge that he's around a 4. A lot of people think that he's 5. I expected this to be higher, to be honest, just based on my comment section. But the general consensus that he's a 4 seems pretty accurate. Next up, we have Finn. And this one is actually really interesting to me because when the game came out, Finn was extremely overpowered. And even now, Finn is still super, super fast. I know a lot of people get very frustrated playing against Finn. I think that 3 is a pretty tame rating for this. I was expecting something like 4. Now, 4 is like very close to 3. They're only like 2%. I would have expected more people to be voting for 4 just based on my comment section again. Although I feel like most of the people that actually go to the effort of leaving a comment are the people that are like super, super opinionated. I feel like all the people that just think a character is just like okay aren't going to comment about it. It's the controversy. This is the people that comment on my video, and this is the people that comment on my video. I don't think anybody that thinks a character is just like okay is going to leave a comment saying that they're okay. You know what I mean? So I guess that's maybe where I was swayed. Arya, this one is extremely surprising to me. I was definitely expecting a lot more over here. Arya has been a frustrating character since the game came out, because when the game came out, her ability didn't physically work, and then it took them like 3 or 4 patches when they would be like, okay, it's fixed, guys, and then everybody would be like, no, it's not, and they would patch again. They'd be like, okay, it's fixed, guys, and everybody would be like, no, it's not, and they finally got it fixed. And then for like the week that it was fixed, Arya was the best character. Like, she was so overpowered. So then they reverted her back to a state where she doesn't work again. So I just feel like this can't really be accurate because all of these votes are over the course of like the past 2 weeks, and she's been through so many changes that there's never been a consistent state that Arya's in. So I feel like that's why the majority of people say 3. Like, I feel like people don't know what to put for this. They just go with the safe option. So I guess this makes sense. We got Harley up next. This was another surprising one. I figured there'd be a lot more 5s, again, just based on my comment section. A lot of the community seems to think that she's a 4. Harley sitting comfortably within the meta, but not like the game-breaking meta, you know? Next up, we got LeBron James. This makes sense to me. LeBron's been pretty weak since he came out, honestly. There's never been a state where LeBron was really good. And then they took away his dunk, like the shockwave from his dunk, which confused me, definitely, because I don't think that was overpowered. Sorry, opinion. opinion. My fault. I feel like that's a pretty tame opinion though. I don't know anybody that thought that was overpowered. Anyway, it makes sense. LeBron's just not very good. Next up, we have Wonder Woman sitting in a 3. This one also surprised me. I was expecting a lot more like split. Like I feel like a lot of people are very opinionated about Wonder Woman. Either they think that she's OP because she's so fast, or that she's like terrible because she doesn't have any like overpowered moves. I guess it evened out in the middle though. The majority of the community seems to think that Wonder Woman is perfectly balanced. In a perfect world, every character on this list would be a 3, you know, but that's like literally not possible in any game ever that has a bunch of characters like this, like Overwatch, Valorant, MultiVersus. There's never going to be a perfectly balanced state in the game. There's always going to be meta picks. It's not the devs' fault. There's literally no way to perfectly balance a game like this. This indicates to me that people think Wonder Woman is perfectly balanced, so pretty cool. Next up, we have Superman. This makes sense. A lot of people seem to think that he's very strong, although I feel like he's only really super strong in lower elos. Once you get, I say elo like it's Valorant, lower MMR. Once you get to higher MMR, it's not too hard to counter Superman. It just depends what character you're playing, because if you have a character that has armor breaking built into their kit, you win. And if you don't have a character that has armor breaking built into their kit, you lose. So I guess that's where the 4 comes from. A lot of people may not play the armor breaking characters. Iron Giant, this makes a lot of sense. People are so opinionated on Iron Giant, like half the community thinks he's garbage and half the community thinks he's overpowered. So this makes a lot of sense to me that this is so split. Iron Giant's another character like Arya though that's received so many balance changes and been like in and out of meta. He's a very confusing character. I haven't played enough 2v2s to have an opinion formed on him, because I know that 2v2s is his main mode, because in 1v1s he's just not great unless you're like top 10 and then he's overpowered. So another very confusing character. Steven Universe, this one really surprised me. I was expecting everybody to go 1 or 2, but the majority of people seem to think Steven is perfectly balanced. Another opinion here, but this is a tame character, so this shouldn't cause too much controversy. I actually played Steven for a video and like tried him out, and be real. I'm gonna miss my B-reel again. Anyway, I played Steven and I definitely think he's on the weaker end. I was very surprised by this. Again, that's an opinion, I'm sorry, but Steven, in my opinion, is definitely down here. I guess this makes sense though. I don't know what these guys were thinking, the 3% of people that thought he's overpowered. Next up, we got Rain Dog. This one makes a lot of sense to me. Rain Dog has never been like OP. People seem to complain about the projectile spamming. It's really not a problem. If a Rain Dog is sitting on the corner of the map spamming projectiles, it's the easiest win of your life. So this makes a lot of sense to me. Next up, we got Velma. This one is surprising to me. I thought a lot more people would think that Velma's overpowered. She was overpowered when the game came out, specifically in the 2v2 mode. They've done a lot of work to balance her now, so I think this makes sense. But I was expecting more people to be over here than there are. But I guess like 86% of people are 3 through 5, so there's still a lot of people that think she's strong. Bugs, I mean, this one is obvious. Everybody was expecting this. Bugs has been OP since the game came out. Bugs was like game-shatteringly overpowered when the game first came out, and they've done some work to balance him. They've nerfed him in 2 consecutive balance change patches, the most recent one being a pretty aggressive nerf, but still Bugs is meta. In 2v2s, he's arguably the best character, and then in 1v1s, Batman is miles above anybody in the game, but Bugs is the second most overpowered. Anyway, nobody is surprised by this. Literally nobody. 2% of people don't think that Bugs is good. Next up, Tom and Jerry. This makes a lot of sense to me. People think that Tom and Jerry is really hard. I agree that he's hard, but I don't think that he's like hardest character in the game. A lot of people have this idea just because they heard like one pro player say that Tom and Jerry is hard, that he's just like this impossible character to play. That's really not it. The most recent balance changes actually did a pretty heavy nerf to Tom and Jerry, so I feel like if this was only based after the most recent balance changes, the results would be a lot more in like the 2 or 3, probably the 3, but this makes a lot of sense to me. Next up, we got Morty. This one makes a lot of sense to me as well. Some people that play Morty think he's really good. I actually think Morty's really good right now. Sorry, that's another opinion. My fault. This is pretty tame. It's exactly what I was expecting from Morty. Overall though, that is the community made tier list for MultiVersus. I guess it's not a tier list. The community made rating of characters, balance. That just doesn't roll off the tongue as well, you know what I mean? But yeah, you guys voted. There's the results. A lot of people were asking me in my comments when this video is going to be out, so now. But yeah, let me know if you agree, disagree, if you think that any of this has changed after the most recent patch, because this poll was available throughout the last patch into now, because the most recent patch was like 5 or 6 days ago. So maybe the results aren't the most accurate, but just to give you guys a general idea of where the community stands on some stuff. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Check out this video right here and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.